What is callback in JavaScript? So in callback, we can assure after taking a certain action, if we want to call any function, so we can use callback. Callback is not any formal terminology inside JavaScript. It is just sending a function as a parameter to another function and making sure the function is getting executed after a certain operation. So if you're writing a function here to perform some calculation, once the calculation is completed, you want to be assured a certain function should get executed to display the calculation maybe, so you can use the callback. So let's see with few examples here. You can also use a callback. Let's say you're calling a data from the database. So you're writing some code to fetch the data from another server, and you have one more task then to display it on the screen. So you can just write a simple function to get the data from the database, but you are not sure how much time it is going to take. So there you can just write a callback function to display that data on the screen. So to call the display function is a responsibility of the previous function. Whenever the database call is completed, it will call the callback function to complete the display related requirement. Let's try to understand with a few examples here more about callbacks. So I'll just write a function here called take action. And I just want to pass some dummy parameter here, for example, parameter 1, parameter 2, and here let's say we are performing taking some actions. So I'm just writing a dummy function which will take some time to complete its execution. Okay, so here log, let me just correct the spelling here, take action log, or instead of log I'll say take action. I'm calling it. Now, I'm not sure how much time this particular text action is going to take. But after completing this action, I want to compulsorily execute some another function. So let's say function display. And it is saying that, for example, action completed, ready to proceed next. Okay, so I want to make sure after completion of the take action function execution, I want to call the display function. So you might be thinking it's super simple. I just need to call the display function over here itself. Yes, that's very true. And let me also console here as well. Take action started. Take action ended. So now I'm calling the take action. So this line will get executed, then this line will execute, and later we are calling the display. And here we are mentioning action completed. We are ready to proceed next. That's super simple in this case. There is no requirement of the callback. Where the problem comes, when you're using some advanced functionalities here, like async operation, you're not sure when the actions are going to complete. And the execution flow for this function is completed, but the inside threads will be as it is. What I mean with that, for example, let's say I'm writing a timeout function here because I don't have any other functionality here to keep the execution continuous here for 2 to 3 seconds. So I'm just writing a timeout function here, which will be there for the 2 seconds. And here, after the 2 seconds, my arrow function will get executed. So there, I'll say my action is completed. Now, what's happening? Have a look. We are calling a take action. Line number 4 will get executed. Super simple. After that, the set timeout is called. As soon as we are calling the set timeout, we are not going to wait here till the line number 6 is getting executed for next 2 seconds. The 2000 millisecond means 2 seconds. As soon as this is triggered, that's fine. It will be keep running in the background. The execution of this function is getting completed immediately. It will not wait for the 2 seconds. Whenever the 2 seconds are completed, then the line number 6 will get executed. Let's prove it how. Let me comment the display functionality here, and let me mention here take function execution take function take action function completed. Make sure this is take action ended here and take action completed I'm mentioning here. So I'm more interested in seeing, will my line number 8 will get executed first or the line number 6? Very first thing, I'm getting this started, then the take action function completed, and after the 2 seconds I'm able to see the take action ended here. So we can see this is getting immediate execution, this is started, it will end after 2 seconds. We are not going to wait till this time. Our program execution will immediately continue with line number 8, and the function is completed here itself. And whenever the 2 seconds are completed, the line number 6 is getting executed. Again, you can see we are waiting for 2 seconds, and now this is completed. Now in this case, if I call this display, now, let's see what's going to happen. And let me comment the line number 8 here now to make it more simple. So take action started, and after that immediately we are calling the line number 12, action completed, ready to proceed. As I told you, we are not going to wait here. Immediately this function execution completed and the next function started called display, and that's the reason we are able to see action completed, ready to proceed. And after 2 seconds we are saying that the action is completed, which we don't want the behavior. We want a behavior in which the action will be completed. For that 2 seconds we should wait, and then only the display functionality should get called. So what I can do for that, I can do again a manual adjustment here. What is that? Like set timeout, and I can again write a arrow function here, and there I can execute the display functionality, and here I'll mention I'll wait for you 3 seconds. So now here we are waiting for the 2 seconds. So 1 second buffer I am giving here. And after the 3 seconds, I am calling the display function. So this is what the manual adjustment I am doing. Let's see now. So action started. After 2 seconds, action is completed. And after the 3 second, we are able to call the display functionality as well. But here, if you see, both these functions should be communicate very well together. For example, the time taken by this take action is increased to 5 seconds. Let's see what happens. So now the display function is getting called earlier, and then our take action is completed. It means if this is taken 5 seconds, I again need to go here and change it to 6 seconds. Then only it will work correctly in the sync. So you cannot do this when some other developer is writing the take action function and some other developer is calling the display function here. And this is the reason we need a callback. So what the callback does here? So the callback says here, I'll give you the display function, and take action function will take a responsibility to call the display function whenever its execution completed, either in 1 second, 5 second, 10 second, whatever it could be. So to call the display function, the responsibility we are giving it to take action. Now we cannot alter the behavior over here, right? So we need to give the parameter as a function. How to do that? Very first thing here, let me just change these parameters here and mention here, I'm going to receive one function as callback. Now don't be confused, this is just a variable, like the way we use the variable called number, a or something. This is also one more variable name called callback. To make it more simple and identifiable, it's a function callback. I'm giving a identifier called callback here. So here we are taking an input, and let's give that input over here. How we will do that? So we are already ready with the function, right? So let's give that function as a parameter. Make sure we are not executing this function. If I want to execute display function, I need to mention opening and the closing brackets. We are not doing that. We are giving the function name as it is, the reference as it is. Take this function as a callback. Now this display function is available inside my callback. What I can do on line number 6, when the action is getting completed, here I'll call this callback. So are you getting? The display function is going into the callback, and here we are calling our display functionality by using the callback. So It doesn't matter now, you're changing it to 1 second, you're changing it to 2 seconds or anything. Let's see in action how this code works. So now we can see the action started and then it is waiting for 2 seconds here and then the action is getting completed and automatically it is calling our callback. So we are completely worry free now and the responsibility of calling this display function is being taken care by the take action. Now, why it is called as callback? So in this case, the take action function is saying us, I'll call the display function later whenever my action is completed. So with that context, the name comes callback. I'll call back you later in that context. Now, the take action can have any other parameters as well. Let's say, let me give you some dummy parameters here because we are just giving one parameter. Let me give more parameters. Let's say, for example, P1, P2, and then I'm giving the callback function here. I can accept those parameters here, for example, P1, P2. Even though I'm not using that, I just want to show you if you give the parameters, what happens with the callback. Nothing will happen. It's just your third parameters in this case. Previously, it was the first parameter. It will work exactly the similar way. Now, you will also see some more differences. Right now, you are passing the function here. So instead of passing the function, can you pass directly an anonymous function here? Yes, of course. So what is the function we are having? We can directly pass our function here as an anonymous function. Let me just apply the print here. Yes. So again, this take action function is having three parameters only. One is P1, second is P2, and the third one is callback. The third parameter might look a bit complicated, but it is just an anonymous function. In this case also, your code will work very perfectly. Yes. Now, can I make it as an arrow function? Of course, we can make it. Let me just convert to an arrow format. Yes, fine. So we have seen how to give directly a function name, the anonymous function as well, and we have also tried with the arrow function. Let's see one practical example for the callback. So we have a scenario here. For example, we need to perform some certain calculation and then we need to display it on the screen. How we will do that? Let me comment out this functionality to make it simple. So I'm having a simple function called calculate, or let me just make it more simple, add. So it will have two parameters, for example, number one and the number two, and it is going to return number one plus number two. And here, let me just call add a function by giving 1 and 3 as a parameter. Now, in this case, what we will do, instead of returning this number, we will console it here itself. Let's confirm the output. Yes, we are having the output 4 here. Now, what we need to display this output, what is the number one, number two output is coming. We also need to display it on the screen on the HTML page. So very first thing we should be having here called some element in which we are going to display the results. So I'll give the ID here with the name called result h2, and here I'll have one more function for which the result will be parameter, and there I'll mention document dot get element by ID, and the ID is result in HTML as we have seen, and inside the inner HTML I'll provide the result. Okay, so we change it a little bit more. Let result equals to, and then call the display with the results. Now let's see what's happening here. We are calling an add function, taking two parameters, performing the addition, giving us a result. We are getting the number 4 here. Then we are giving a parameter number 4 to the display function, and then we are assigning it to an HTML element. Let's see the outcome. Yes, we are getting an outcome 4 here. Now, in this case, the calculation is very straightforward. But let's imagine this calculation is not straightforward and it will take some time to get executed. It also depends on some third-party parameters. It need to communicate with other servers and everything. So in that case, it can also go asynchronous or it can go synchronous. We are not sure with that. So when the execution of function addition function will get completed, that we will not be knowing over here on the line number 28. So for that, what we will do, we'll give this display function as a parameter directly to the addition function. Whenever you are completed with your calculation, you please take a responsibility to display this data on the screen. So here I'll add a third parameter that is called as display. So I'm giving a third parameter here that is called display. I'm just giving the name of the function here. Sounds good. Let me also accept it here. So here I should call it as a callback. So what we are doing, so in this case, we don't want any return result. So we are saying that the add function, I'm giving you two numbers, you perform the addition, and after that also, whenever this addition is completed, please call my display function. We are not saying you perform the display functionality. We are saying whenever you are completed with your addition function, you please call my function, which is already capable to display something on the screen, the results on the screen. Your responsibility is only to call my function. That's okay. So here in the add function, it is going to perform the calculation and take a result, and then, as you said, given the responsibility for the add function, it will complete your responsibility by calling a callback and giving the desired results like this. Okay, now let's see the output. Yes, we are getting it. Let me change some data here. Now we should get 5. Yes, we are getting it here. So no matter now how much time it will take for the calculation, everything, the add function is taking the core responsibility to call your callback, that function you have mentioned here. So this is how the callbacks will be helpful. This is a very simple scenario, but you can find the very critical scenarios and it will be very helpful inside jQuery and many more advanced libraries.